it's 8 o'clock or so. But we are live. Tonight I want to talk to you about a couple of things. One, I'm still here at WESTECH Performance, obviously doing work. I'm getting the LS motor prepped and ready to go. I'm trying to get in some, trying to get in some better light here. It's not working that well. But I wanted to let you guys know after I came down, the guys from WESTECH were cleaning some of their stuff out, and they've got an LT5 ZR1 motor for sale. So if anybody's looking for a very cool 4-cam, the OG ZR1 LT5 motor, comparatively speaking, C4 Love, definitely. Not terribly powerful, but certainly cool. And so if anybody's looking for, I just told them that I would mention it and see if anybody out there is interested in one of those. I've been wanting those guys to run this thing on the engine dyno for a long time, and it just has not happened. Despite my pleading, I've kind of wanted it to happen, but it did not, unfortunately. So, I'm getting the L33, getting that prepped and ready to go. Hopefully we'll be running that here before too long. I've got a few different intake manifolds that I want to try on it. I've got the M90 to put back on it in ported form, so that will be good. I'm mocking some stuff up, getting it all prepped, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be doing some dyno testing probably Friday or this weekend, maybe both days. And depending on how quickly things go, I'd like to try to put something else up there. Maybe I'd like to do the Pontiac, which would be cool. Even though I don't think I'm going to check and see if we have springs for it. If I have springs for it, I might do a cam swap on the Pontiac. I'd like to run the Torque Storm on there. That would be cool, because we can combine the Torque Storm with the CSU blow-through carburetor, which would be awesome. For you guys that have ordered cams, I should be getting the first batch out of here. They should be shipping pretty quickly here, and then all of the subsequent orders as soon as I get back from my trip to WESTECH, I'll get those things out. It's just me, so bear with me. And like I said, the money part of it, I'm not concerned with. That's all staying there until I get everything out. I want to make sure everybody gets their thing and they're happy, and then all that's good. I'm still trying to rustle up some t-shirts to get some t-shirts made, which would be good. It's about time, and then get I'm gonna get a website up so we can have different things. Sell some cool stuff, maybe some packages, some turbos and turbo cams. All of that stuff. What else is going on? We've got I don't think I'll be able to run the trophy 4-cylinder while I'm down here. Are you in a couch cushion for it? I wish I was. I'm actually in my truck right now. I tried to do a live feed. I tried to go on live inside WESTECH again with my laptop, which would have been better. The lighting obviously is much better, but the signal is just not there. I can't get it to work. Unfortunately, it's hard to even get my phone to refresh when I'm in there, so you got to walk outside and hold it up and spin around. I know it's dyno after dark. Let's see, do I have another light in here? Let's see. That's backlit though. That's not really going to help too much. Richard, I put a 4-inch stroke crank and aluminum rods in a 5.3. Is it possible to clearance that without grinding through the block into the water? Yeah, 4-inch stroke crank. I don't know about the aluminum rods. I've never seen how big they are relative to the typical 6-125 rods, the steel rods that we use and everything. I don't know how much bigger they are. At the bottom of the bore where it probably should be hitting, I don't think you're going to hit water there. The couch cushion forts are awesome though. Wish I had the cash. Kyle, what's going on? 350 horsepower easy. Yeah. They were, this one was, I think that this is a later one. I think it's rated at 405. And I think that probably on the dyno, the way that we run it, I'm sure that they don't have headers for that. At least I haven't seen any that I know of. But if we were to run it with headers and electric water pump, which we don't have, maybe a remote one. It does have a pump. It's got the accessories on there. I don't know. I'm thinking it might do 440 or 450. What Pro Charger works best for a stroke 408? It depends on how much power you want to make. You just pick your Pro Charger based on the desired power output. They have Pro Chargers ranging from 600, 700, 800 horsepower to probably 3,000 or something. So you would pick the one that you would use to make the power that you want. I myself like the for fairly high performance stuff, I like the F1A94. They're supposed to have another one that's going to be that plus or better or more responsive or something. We were talking about it at MPMC, and I'm like, look, what if you guys you know, if you have something, we'll definitely test it. But the F1A94 is a really good one. The D1SC, if it's a, you know, good, it's a street motor and it's like 1,000 horsepower or less, that's a good one to go with. Lotus made the ZR1 V8 for the C4, correct? Yeah, they helped design it. The Mercury Marine guys, I think, are actually the guys that assembled them, though. Richard, I ordered the 219 cam. What size rockers you suggest? You just run stock rockers on it. Stock Alice rockers are fine. No brakes, no problem, man. Yeah, I haven't ever run aluminum rods in anything. So I would be the wrong guy maybe to ask about that. But I can't see there being a, I mean, at the bottom of the bore, I don't know. I don't think you'll run into water, though. Biggest issue with aluminum rods is quench. Sammy, find me a Dart 408. Laffy, I spent so much time watching your videos, planning my build, but got 3 years till I can make it happen since there's not many LS engines here in Japan. Yeah, I would imagine we are kind of spoiled with going down to the wrecking yard and getting them. Turbo 5.3 or an NA60. The Turbo 5.3 makes like 1 million more horsepower. Are you familiar with the Stage 2.5 porting service Texas Speed provides? I haven't tested their stuff. I mean, I've tested a few of their heads, but I've not compared that to something else, to Stage 1 or Stage Nothing or whatever they are. Texas Speed has some good ported heads. And are you doing a cathedral port head? I know with cams, 415 stroker kit, S&W back in the early got 600 rear wheel horsepower. That's a lot. A 700 horsepower 415 would be a lot of power. Somebody buy the C4 LT1. I agree. I mean, LT5. yeah. Hard for Japan to complain with 1Js and 2Js just as far as the eye can see. And all the cool, even cool like Kai class motors and RX-7s and all kinds of good stuff. PC AFR heads go hard. Yeah, if you take a look at the video that I did where I tested a bunch of different, like 20 sets of ported heads, the cathedral port stuff, there's not a lot of bad choices there. I mean, you could port factory ones. They were great. You can, if you want thicker decks, you can obviously run the aftermarket stuff, and those work great. There's just a lot of good head choices, and 99% of people never used all of the power potential of those ported cathedral port heads. What are they asking? I think it's higher than that, B&R. I'm thinking it's 9 or something. Back in 2005, we dyno jet tested a later 405 LT1 ZR1, and the dyno graphs were almost an overlay of the later 504 LS6. It's pretty cool, almost the same. That would make sense, right? I got ported 243 heads on my LS1. Those are good. I'm not an import guy, so it's borderline torture. Yeah, but there's a lot of good stuff. What other engines do you have for sale? I don't have any engines for sale. That was actually WESTECH. Would love to see a vintage small block Chevy aluminum intake shootout. The guys from Engine Masters, I think, have done that a few times. Guys back in the day had C4 LT5 making 600 to 750. 600 to 750 is a pretty big spread. How high of compression can you run on 93 pump gas with the 351C closed chamber? I don't know. I think that chamber design is probably, and being an iron head, and the piston design, I don't think you can run as much compression with that combination as you can with a modern aluminum headed deal. You need 55 to 60 quench to keep things happy. Aluminum rod, 6125, and piston will hang 15 to 20 out of the block if it's been decked. Thicker gasket is a band-aid and a larger fuse. Recall guys had the factory LT5 ZR1 heads flowing 300. I think that they did. I remember the guys from Pacific Performance, Rick, they did a bunch of stuff with one of those. They didn't do any cams, but they ported the intake and they ported the heads, and I think that they flowed pretty well. Carb manifold on an LT5 would be cool. I just bought the AFR ass cast for my 5.3 and can't beat the price. Do they make, does AFR make a small bore, a head for that small bore application? I didn't know that they did. Keep up the good work, Sammy. You're doing great with the mobile mechanic work. Debating on porting my 706s and changing the piston to flat tops. You can get 706 heads with bigger valves and porting to go over 300. Just join. What's the story on the ZR1 for sale? It's the guys from WESTECH Performance are selling it. They've never run it. It's been sitting for a long time. They got it from the Chevy race shop. I think, and I can't swear to this, but we think that motor was one that just came off the assembly line, and then they gave it to the guys from the Chevy race shop, and they didn't do anything with it. It doesn't look like it's ever been run. And when they left, all the stuff, WESTECH went and got a bunch of stuff. ITBs for the LT5. Any idea on the horsepower limit of the old double hump heads? Are you talking about ported versions? The stock heads only flow like 200 or 210 CFM, so not very much. Let's see. I don't know what you mean by thoughts. Another cool fact I recall now, Richard, true race headers, long tubes were made for the C401. Stainless 2-inch primary tubes, 3.5-inch collectors, only made like that. The Corvette that went 9s that the guys from Pacific Performance did, that car ran 9s. They were running nitrous on it too, but it had long tube headers on it. In our Dynojet LT5 versus LS6, it was really interesting that both engines were tuned for a super similar dyno. Yeah, I mean, you think about a 4-cam motor, you think, oh, it's got to be a high RPM deal, but it was really not. I mean, it has fairly long runners on it. I started reassembly on the CT70. Nice. Will you be able to test the LT5 before it's sold? I don't think so. I don't know how they're going to run it. FR makes an Enforcer LS head with 155 exhaust valve. Okay. That's a pretty common size for LSs. FR's 238. They moved the valve over 100 thousandths. The valve's over. They moved them toward the center then? It has a 208. I think it'll clear the 3800 bore. Okay, let me know if that happens. Horsepower spread Richard Holder is because it's RPM depending. 7,000 to 9,500 is what a stock LT5 didn't rev there. It didn't make power there. The peak power is way below that. I don't know about racing versions, but they were not factory 9,000 RPM motors. At least they didn't allow them to run there. Not that I know of. The one that I drove for top speed wasn't anywhere near that. Oh, Coyote copied the LT5. Are L90 heads worth keeping on an early C4? Yes, and you can port them to make them pretty good. I like those heads. They don't flow a ton. They have small chambers on them, but with porting they can be good. 1.55 is so they can fit on the 5.3. The regular Enforcer has a 1.6. Okay. LT5 is a dual camshaft small block. Yeah, it's a quad cam deal. I ended up getting the final weigh the crankshaft down to 45 grams. That's cool. The weather here is nice. It's obviously cooling off because it's nighttime now, as you can see. Richie after dark. But during the day, it was beautiful today. Boost is my friend. What did you eyeball and what did you change for something going faster? 413 small block, AFR 195s, 280 comp cam, 11:1 compression, air gap 750 Holly. I don't know about I don't know if I've ever run a 413. But is a comp hydraulic flat tappet cam? I'm thinking that's 1.3 or something like that. So, well, no, probably not with that camshaft. I need to know what the intake duration is on that 280 cam. Mason, I do have a sloppy stage 3. Rain up in Grass Valley? Okay. They're not still getting snow in Tahoe, are they? Is it cold enough for that? Have you ever seen anyone go back in after overboarding the exhaust ports on a set of 873 heads, weld where you collapse them into water and be successful? What is an 873 head? I didn't know you were a snake wrangler. Are you planning on making some boots? No, I don't kill them. I just catch them and play with them and let them go. Yeah, B&R, it's not at all a small block. It's definitely different. Got my tickets for LS Fest West today. Oh, I need to get in touch with those guys, and I need to make sure I got a spot. Seen some of your Gen 1 and Gen 2 Coyote stuff. Anything on the Gen 3? I don't have any Coyotes, so I can't really do any engine dyno testing. Why wasn't the LT5 continued? Probably because it was way too expensive, and then they managed to get easy power out of the LS platform. You ever see anybody repair exhaust ports that they overported? Is it an iron block, or I mean iron head, or an aluminum head? Mason, on the, you're interested in the, you have to contact the guys from WESTECH. I'm thinking it's around $9 grand. Snow in Tahoe. Do you remember what size injectors you're running on the 5.3 when you test the chopper copper cam? We normally run 80s on that stuff. Comp cams is 230 at 50. 230 on a 413. That's not going to make a lot of power because it's not going to want to make power at a high RPM with a dual plane. I'm thinking 450, 460, something like that. Excellent effect with the lighting. Yeah. Oh, 238 AFRs versus stock LS3s on my son's 416 S10. It went 660s on the LS3s and 658s on the 238s. That doesn't seem like a very much of a difference. Are the 238s Cathedral port? It's all Lotus Engineering. Oh, you're welding up iron LQ9 heads? Welded the internal exhaust port and now trying to clean it back out. I hated it with a torch and cherried it before I started welding, and it seemed to take pretty well. Okay, good luck. Man, and everybody throws those heads away. I think he means 823 LS heads. Do you think it helped make power more than stock injectors? Well, the stock injectors won't support the power level. It doesn't help it make power. That you have to have enough fuel flow to make the power. If you don't have enough fuel flow, it goes lean and breaks itself. I'm really liking the Comp XE269 at $200 or more. I'll take the Chupacabra. Yep. What's the best North Star engine to build? I don't know. I'm far from being any kind of North Star expert. I've never even run one. Is there a reason you're not filming inside WESTECH? Yeah, because the signal is no good. I tried doing it. I tried doing it tonight. I tried starting in there tonight with my laptop, but the signal's so bad that it won't allow me to go online. Square port 238 versus 258. Okay. Big Bang and North Star. Mark Sanchez has a North Star just sitting there. Richard has Rembrandt lighting. Yep. It's AFR's new budget head they sent out for us to do testing with. Oh, cool. The 4.4 North Star is best because it's a lot stronger and came with a supercharger. Yeah, if it came factory with a supercharger, that's definitely better. Does you want to have a set of LS heads they're willing to part with for a fair and reasonable price? Are you just looking for stock heads? There's lots of them at wrecking yards. Richard, what do you think about an 04 GTO? They're good. They're a good place to start. I had it rebuilt about 8 years ago. 10 over, 5.7. Factory LS6, 6-speed. To get 800 or 900 horsepower, you just need boost. The best North Star engine is the LC3, but the LH2 is much more affordable to buy from a wrecking yard. Oliver, you don't have to say you have a question. Just just ask a question. Have you ever tested 8-into-1 headers? My lighting went off. I haven't tested 8-into-1s, but I'm going to do it with the guys from Stainless Headers. I'll do some digging, see if I still have my DynoJet data saved on the LT5 versus the L6. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I think I remember the ZR1 motor being like 6,200 or something. Justin, are those the reason that I don't recognize the casting number is because I don't ever remember seeing the casting number in an iron set of LS heads. I've only seen one set in person that I took off of one of the Big Bang motors because They were in Chad Suburban. He had a 6-liter in LQ4 in a Suburban. It was a 99. After watching the live data for a while, my 02 Tahoe 5.3 runs stock slightly more. Timing with 91. California gas, but the miles per gallon is exactly the same. Only 1 or 2 degrees more at cruise. Okay. I'm running 87 in mine. Where's the LT5? It's here at WESTECH Performance. Seems to me that small block GMs made power from the start, and they had lower stall torque converters. What is it that made them make torque down low? Well, compared to a 4.8 and a 5.3, they're obviously larger if they're 350 inches. Richard, please be careful out there. People aren't paying attention. I'm not driving anywhere. I'm just sitting. No need to raise your hand, right? Any small block Ford heads for sale? I don't have any small block Fords. Only the LC3 and LH2 North Stars are meant for rear-wheel drive. Richard, what's your take on people using thicker oils depending on the type of lifters used? The oil viscosity should be chosen. I mean, I guess you could choose it for lifter, but are they paying no attention to what's going on in their bearing clearances? I like boost. I was thinking about twins sticking out of the hood. There you go. I did 7,000 with springs, easy. You rebuilt the stock 5.3, honed it. I'm sure that was ringed it, new bearings. I'm looking to put a set of heads on top of it to match up with a sloppy stage 2 and tuning that I've already done. Okay. First running prototype C4 Corvette ZR1 was built in 1985. Testing done in England on public roads. That was when they first introduced the tune port stuff. Could you run the intake off of an 0753 SS Impala on a Gen 3 6-liter for the low profile look? That's actually the most terrible intake GM has ever made. That's off of an LS4, and you don't want to do that. You're going to lose like 40 or 50 horsepower. I'm happy to report that a 212 intake 115 LSA cam started right up with a stock tune. Idled pretty choppy though, and took a while for the check engine light to come on. I saw a semi pass by as I wrote that. Yeah, the semis will pass by because they're this is an industrial area, so there's lots of semis here. I can't do a poll on my phone. It's possible to put a ZR1 engine in a Silverado and not a reasonable price. No, you had me tell reasonable price. $2,000 Chevy Silverado LQ. It's an LQ9. What do you recommend for bearing clearances on a boosted 5.3? The middle main is going to be a little more than the others. I don't know, 2.8 or so, 2.8 thousandths, 2.6 or so on the others. Richard, I want the sloppy stage 3 cam. I'm in Fresno. what's the price on it? I need to make sure that I saw the box. I just need to make sure that that cam's in that box. What's your best L83 combo? I've only run the L83 once or twice on the engine dyno, so I don't have a bunch of combinations for that. Brian Tooley has a bunch, so they've run a bunch there. So do you know why a buddy's 5.3 truck got better fuel mileage after a turbo was added in a DOD delete cam? That's when he stays out of the throttle. I don't know. My guess is that he's driving differently. B&R, oh, they had their own gear ratios. You would think that they would, because even though, well, an LT1 back then was still revving fairly well, better than the L98. Honestly, Richard, I'd just like to find a set of aftermarket aluminum heads. Don't care what they are. Oh, for your LS, you could just port stock ones too. That's right. What if you put an LT5 in a Lotus? Just want it to live. 1000 CFM 4150 versus a Dominator 1050. 6,000 RPM, 650 horsepower. I think it's a wash. And which is better? I don't at 650 horsepower. I think the Dominator is going to be better, and I don't think it's not going to be because of the carburetor. It's going to be because of the intake manifold. The Dominator intake manifold is probably going to be better. I got a piece of paper that said to use a higher winter oil with the lifters I received. I've not heard of that. I like the sloppy best cam, but don't know if it will run with my stock tune and converter. It's a 219 cam, so on a 4.8 or a 5.3, it's going to be a little softer than the Truck Norris is down low. DOD delete is the answer to that. DOD should help fuel mileage though if it's working properly. Did anyone see Dave's Auto Center video yesterday on the YouTube? What's the scoop with iron and aluminum LS walls cracking under boost? Somebody sent me an email about that. It might have been you, or message about it, and I haven't seen that. So maybe Dave is the only one that's seeing it, or maybe I'm not looking. 6.8. The guys from WESTECH Performance are selling an LT5 ZR1 motor, the OG one. The C4 Corvette one. Why would it matter? Why would the oil matter with the different types of lifters? Well, the flow orifice of the lifter, you could change the desired oil like that, just like you do with the bearing clearances. But I'd like to see the data on that. 6.8. I do have Truck Norris cams. I have low buck trucks. The FRS cast assembled are less than 600 each. Nice. I'll be going back to one of my ex-boss's shops building LS engines. Cool. Bad tunes, too much cylinder pressure. Lotus had been developing a VVT for the LT5, but GM cut the ZR1 and the LT5, so that the VVT design ended up being sold to Honda and became what we know as VTEC. That's not accurate. Lotus didn't develop VTEC, and VTEC was on Honda engines before that. And VTEC isn't anything like VVT. paid you for a cam. I want to get a second one for the 5.3. Let me know what you have. What do you need? What are you looking for? I still have the Lobach Truck Norris's and the 219 cams. I run 1030 year-round here in northern Arizona. Never let me down. I've got 400,000 miles on my 4.8. That's good. I remember a few stroker LT5s. I remember those. Didn't the what was it, the snake skinner? Because they were going after the Viper, I think. That was one of them that they did, right? Variable lift. VTEC is not variable lift. It's a whole different cam profile. It doesn't advance and retarded, and it doesn't just change the lift. It changes the lift and duration. It changes the whole cam lobe. It switches over to a second cam, basically. About VTEC engines, have you ever looked at what are the specs of the lower RPM cam lobes? Yeah, on factory Honda stuff all the time. The snake skinner, yeah, I remember that one. And I thought that there was one other one too. Nothing big, just want, yeah, then, so 6.8, then it would be the Lobach Truck Norris one would be best for that. Yeah, Toyota in their Celica has that lift thing, and their GSR thing had that. Currently working on a set of rocket-powered roller skates. That's good. I like that. It's got 3 spoon engines. Is that, what is it? Is that Hector? 2007 to 2010, it was C4 guys against the Dodge Vipers, drag, street racing, and road racing. In 2007 to 2010? Isn't that way after the... That's way after the ZR1 stuff, right? Living out west, I don't think DOD helps miles per gallon. We're always driving on hills, and the V8, V4 indicates almost always in V8 mode. With forged bottom end, what's the max horsepower I can get out of a 01 Z06 LS6? We don't take those motors, those blocks, more than about 1,000 horsepower. The LS1, LS2, LS3, and LS6. I have sleeved those blocks and made a lot of power. The LT5 that I'm talking about is a the C4 Corvette one from the 90s. The OG, that's right. The LT5, the original one. Not the new one. The new ZR1 was like in 2019 or whatever, was pretty stout. Was it 19? Somewhere around there, right? Stroker 303, 421, 434, 454, and C4 Corvettes built back then. Yeah, I remember all that stuff. That was cool. I got to ride in a Scott Sharp was driving it, I think, when we were at Road America. I got to ride in one of the Camaros that had like a 572 or something in it. How often do people change the starters on new cars that shut off at red lights? I remember watching an Instagram thing on that about the, I thought it was Pistons and Pixie Dust, or I thought it was that girl or somebody like that was talking about the fact that the ECU counts the number of starts from the starter, and then when it hits a certain milestone, then it tells you to go in and it gives you a check engine light that you have to go in and replace the starter. Even if the starter's not bad, that it does that. I don't know if that's true of all of them, or I don't even know if it's true that if that was accurate. But that's what she was saying. And I know my wife's Mercedes has that, and I hate it, and we always turned it off. I mean, it does help fuel mileage, but I just don't like the thing starting and stopping all the time. So you remember the SHO Tauruses? Yeah, but they weren't. An SHO Taurus wasn't really a match for a Corvette, though. Jim should have named the new LT engine something else. Well, third time's a charm, right? Or it's somewhere where the mains start to walk at 800 horsepower. Yeah, like I said, we don't on those aluminum blocks. The 5.3 aluminum block you can run lots of power with, and all the iron blocks you can run lots. But we just don't run a bunch on those particular aluminum blocks. Yeah, CJ, there's I don't know what the guy's name is, but he's putting the 8.1 in there. He's going to have direct injection stuff. That'll be cool. ZR1 was like a $25,000 option. Yeah, it had a lot of stuff, but it was really expensive. But what it would do compared to the other things that it took to do that, like a Ferrari Testarossa and stuff, it was still pretty affordable. The show had the exact same motor as the Corvette. The SHO Taurus had a Yamaha developed V6 that made 220 horsepower. The Corvette had a Yamaha, well, a Lotus developed V8 that made 400 horsepower. They weren't anywhere near the same. No, the 1.7 Honda mains walk at 550. Okay. 1.6 Honda. Not the B series stuff. We've run them at Bonneville higher than that. We run them on the engine dyno way higher than that. I have an aluminum 6.0 from a Trailblazer. Are those blocks any good? Yes, they are. Would a stock LM7 be able to handle a supercharger? Yes, very easily. You were present for some of the Circle Supercharged V6 show dyno testing. Yeah, back at the show shop, they did a bunch of it. And they had one that was I don't remember if it was a 3-liter or they did 3.2s also, but it had ported heads and cams, and it seemed like it went to 10,000. I know it went to 96 or 9,700, but I think Greg held it to 10,000 RPM, and it was fast. They did do a V8 in the next generation SHO Taurus, but it has nothing to do with the Corvette motor. Or a set of ported iron 990 big block Chevy heads capable of making. I think properly ported ones probably, I bet they flow 350. James, you know, we've made, you know, 4-digit power levels with a stock bottom end on a 5.3, so you don't have to worry about putting a blower on it. Yeah, more power. The guys from WESTECH have a ZR1 motor for sale. Yeah, the Taurus motor was, even the V8 one that came in the later version of that car was still small. Gen 6 454s are the best oval ports. It would be interesting to see a back-to-back comparison with that and an 049 head, but I think that they would make more because the chambers are so much smaller. I love the SHO Tauruses. I thought that they were great. I mean, the guys at the show shop did a bunch of work on them. I mean, Vadim had a whole business on it, but they were cool to ride with, like, because you could have you and a bunch of your buddies could be in it, and it was we always thought it was a great, like, Silver State car because, you know, it was a sedan. You could motor around. of a 98 Chevy S10. Should I put a 4.8 or 5.3? Pick if you're going to the wrecking yard. I always like to pick the bigger of the two of those, but either one of them will work. So exit, you had somebody had a 5.7 LT1 in a Cadillac Fleetwood. Yep. Six-liter with a 216 cam. Any compression should be around 10.4. Is it safe on 91 pump gas? Yeah, it will be with aluminum heads on it. But I don't know about, there's no way to know from the information that you gave me about the pushrod length, because that's a function of the things that you're changing. The cam is one of those, but the lift and duration have nothing to do with that. It's only the base circle of the cam, and I don't know what cam you have, or even if I knew what cam it was, what the change in base circle is. David, I've already answered your question. What kind of horsepower output with a centrifugal V6 show at 9 or 10,000? I'm trying to remember. I'll get on the phone with Vadim or my buddy Bernie and see if they remember, because Vadim had a dyno jet and they ran a bunch of them on the dyno jet. You can use standard push rods if you haven't milled any surfaces. That may or may not be true, depending on it's pretty common for aftermarket cam manufacturers to change the base circle of the cam, and then you might need to change the lifter. Late to this, but are you talking about the Yamaha SHO V6? We were talking about that. Yeah, it's good stuff. I thought 049s and 781s were better. Yeah, I don't know, but that's what I know. I don't know about the flow rates, but I know that those both have, the 049s were big chamber heads. So you put both of those on a motor, I think that the late model Vortec heads would probably make more power, because they're 20 cc's smaller. I watched all your 3800 videos. You got a LeSabre. That's cool. Gen 2 LT1 cams, 220, 228 split F50. Yeah, that works. It's just a small block. Do you agree with most guys saying 6-liter over 5.3 NA? A bigger motor makes more power, so if that's what you want, then you get the bigger motor. 4.8 same power as a 5.3, just better on gas? No, that's not accurate. The 5.3 is bigger, it makes more power, and it makes a lot more torque. Yeah, Jay Leno's Shogun. That was there at the show shop a couple of times. It was very cool. Rick Titus was involved in that. Do the LS and small block have the same lifter bore diameter? I think they do. Smaller CC head is better than large head and big dome pistons. Yeah, I don't like the big domes, but it's pretty typical for big black Chevy stuff. Did you see on the gas at the all-wheel drive shootout? I didn't. I haven't watched that. I've been today's been a mad thrash. In fact, I still got a bunch of stuff in the back of the truck that I got to unload. It looked like Fast and Furious Dom's Lightning cruising down the road with all the boxes. What day is Slant 6 project? I don't know. I don't know. But I was talking to Eric today about V10 fuel injection, though. I was wondering why you're live so late on the side of the road. Yeah, it's not because I'm stuck. I'm actually right outside WESTECH, just away from the void of internet connectivity. Speaker's better unless it's a Gen 6 454 versus an 8.1. So you think that the 8.1 isn't as good as the Gen 6? That lifter bore size is shared with a bunch of stuff. The Pontiac, I think, is the same as the LS lifter. I think guys use the LS lifters in the Pontiacs when they do hydraulic roller conversions. I think I read that somewhere. And if it's close, it wouldn't be a hard thing to change. Exit. So you want to get a 292. Straight 6 GM. Any ideas on daily driver power to weight? They're not going to make very much horsepower, I can tell you that. They're not bad on torque, but maybe want to go watch turbo 8.1 videos. I've run a turbo on an 8.1, so I'm a little bit familiar with them. Low bends and holes are different, so be careful on those lifters. What's your take on soaking lifters? I always do it. The lifters always go in a thing of oil before I install them. The retrofit roller cam for my small block Chevy looks suspiciously similar to LS lifters, yeah. There's the oiling groove that may not be in the same place. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to uncover it and spill all the oil out. Kyle, appreciate it, man. Do the same with rockers. Yeah, I do that with rockers too. I put all that stuff in there. And then I make sure that I put, you put oil on all the tips of the valves and on both ends of the lifter. And turbo goes good on a Chevy 6. 5-cylinder is a good project. It's close, Richard, than the LS and a Pontiac V8. Oil bands are different heights. Top end oiling can be a problem. Oh, okay. I thought that somebody was telling me that that's what they did, that's what they used. But maybe what if they changed the base circle of the cam? Yeah, 292, the turbo on it would be good. I realized earlier I mixed up the LT5 with the Type 918. What's your minimum soak time? I don't have a minimum soak time because when I'm doing other stuff on the engine, I put those in there. I don't put those in there right before I'm ready to install them. I put them in there and then I'm doing a bunch of stuff like, putting pistons in or putting rods on, the pistons on the rods or doing ring gap or doing that stuff while I'm assembling. And then those are just sitting in there ready to go at a moment's notice. 8.1 has a stroke of 4.37. I would think it would have more torque. An 8.1 makes way more horsepower and torque than a Gen 6 454 does. In stock trim, they do. Fortec 4200 with a turbo would be cooler. Yep, I got one of those. Is there angelic light, angelic music, and a bright aura around WESTECH next to you? No, there's street lights, so does that count? 24-hour soak is always good. You think it'd be interesting to put a camera on that and think if you still see, let me know if you still see bubbles past about an hour. Okay, Sissel had a turbo 6 in a Chevy. I soak for 24 hours, lifters and rockers. Okay. That's not necessary. That's overkill, but you can certainly do that, especially with the rockers. The rockers are not going to do anything. In fact, rockers, you could drop in the oil and then they would be ready. Lifters would take a little bit more. Oregon, Richard, would you have a kit for sale for a 355 Chevy. I don't think I have any small block stuff. I looked, I thought that I had some hydraulic roller stuff at least. Tim, where are you at? When are you bringing pizza by? What cam could you use for a 4.3? Really need to test some Oldsmobile stuff. Oh, gear vendors overdrives. Yeah, nah, that's out of my price range. Yeah, B&R. None of the stuff that I would do with a Pontiac is going to be anywhere near any of that. Do you have any small block Ford cams available? I don't think so. I looked. I didn't. I mean, there might be a couple of them, but I don't know what. I don't know what they are. I was just going to grab everything that I have and bring it back with me. I don't think that the 8.1 crank and the Gen 6 stuff and previous stuff, I don't think that interchanges. If you pre-oil the lifters, turn the motor over slowly several times so you don't tag the valves. 5.44 valve Triton versus 5-liter Coyote. I'd have to look and see. A 5.44 valve is going to be a Shelby GT500 motor. So are you going to let the Shelby have the blower on it? I may be able to use a trick flow stage 2 or 3. Is the Olds 3.5 a 60-degree V6? I don't know. The guys from WESTECH do have, which I think that I might try to use. They have a 4.3-liter V6, and it's the later balance shaft. They don't know anything about it. They don't even know. They didn't even know that they had it. It was just sitting up on the shelf behind a bunch of banners, and they would never run a V6 because they don't care about that. So I think I might try to run it. Where are my Freya? I don't know what that is. What's headphilia? What's your take on long tube versus short headers? A shorty header doesn't do anywhere near what a long tube header does. A long tube header is adds scavenging effect, and short header doesn't do that. Where are my Gen 2 LT1 people? Or do I have any Gen 2 LT1 people? .8 liters, yeah. Those are the PSI engines, right? Dark screen. Because I'm Batman. A couple more minutes. Couple of more minutes, yo. I'm excited. I'm working on got some cool, I like putting blower stuff on the LS. I got to do some machining. I got to do some fabbing. It's all good. Drilling. I have a 96 Fleetwood with an LT1 I just built. Cool. Get those questions in. Get those questions in. Get those cam orders in. Let me know what cams you want. I've got a couple Summit cams, the little Summit cams. I've got a couple Cam Motion ones. I might have some L83 cams. I think I do. I think I have 1 or 2 of those. I've got some Gen 3 Hemi cams. Saw some of those. I need to go back and see on the Gen 6. I found some Gen 6 big block cams, but all the ones that I opened were all stock ones. Okay, Mason, yeah, I'll let you know. One neat idea is using a Navigator double over cam 5.4, cheap adapter plates, and Coyote intake. Just need some camshafts. Yep. James, it's 219, 226, if I remember right. Earlier this year, I found a salvage yard that had a 427. Was it a 427 Chevy or a 427 side oiler? What was it? What's the smallest cam you have? Probably that low buck Truck Norris one. I don't know if I have anything smaller than that. I'll look around and see if I have any of those crane cams that I ran way back, but I don't know if I do. I've got a factory LS9 cam that's smaller, although it probably has more exhaust duration. It has about the same intake duration. It's got a really wide lobe separation angle. So that would make all the lobe separation angle guys happy. So if we did the Truck Norris cam versus an LS9 cam, then we have 107 LSA versus 120 something LSA. They would all be happy with that. See, tighter LSA makes all the power. Although an LS9 cam makes pretty good peak power. Former school bus mechanic. Yeah, diesels with a lot of boost are not. That's not the same as adding boost to a gas engine. You get I wonder if you had a naturally aspirated diesel, and you put a turbo on it and added 10 pounds, but didn't add the fuel, and then you just added fuel without the turbo, if the fuel would make more power than the turbo does. I remember raising the boost on my Dodge. I had a 2008 3500 Dodge, and I remember raising the boost on the Cummins motor with a little bleed valve, and we added boost, and I thought, oh, this is going to make a huge difference, and it really didn't. It didn't make a difference till we added fuel. What's the head flow, yo? I'm scrolling back to find out what that was. I know which one you were talking about, but now I don't remember what it said. Oh, the 8.1. The 8.1's not a lot. I'm gonna say it's like mid twos. Can a turbo cam be run without turbo? Yeah, and so that there's no such thing as a turbo cam. They're just cams. Every cam that you put in a motor, you run with a turbo. Have you tested Summit turbo cams? Yes. One more minute. 1 minute more, please. Heavy duty. And on that note, it's time to go. Let's see if I could just disappear into the darkness. Apparently I can. However, all roller cams are 110 or more. They're not all that. The Truck Norris is 107. Thought I'd never turn a wrench on an LS. Hey, all motors are good motors. And And on that note, it is time to go, but I'll see you guys all tomorrow.